Welcome to BC Designer Online. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about Strategy Scorecard Wizard. I'm going to explain you how to deal with it. Actually, this tool is free and it's a kind of self-explaining. So I guess you can start using it without any explanations, any instructions from my side, but as my practice showed, with some additional guidance, with some additional help, business professionals are more successful in creating a little bit better scorecards, and uh, that's my purpose. I want you to be a little bit more comfortable with this tool, and I want to provide you some ideas that will help you. Uh, First of all, how to start using Strategy Map Wizard, Strategy Scorecard Wizard. You can go to this link, or if you forgot where it is, just go to the main page and find Strategy Map Wizard somewhere on the page. For example, you have link here, you have button here. I guess you have it here. So that's another way to start it. And actually, if you already have an account with BC Designer Online, even if it is a test account, you can log in. I'm going to do this to show you another way to start this wizard. So basically, we need to log in, and from your account, you can also start the wizard. It is available here under New Scorecard, and you pick this option, Create using Scorecard Wizard. Okay. So the screen that we will see is exactly the same as if you would start from the main page. The only difference is that here in the end, I will not be asked to create an account, but the scorecard will be saved directly into my account. If you don't have an account, on the end of the process, you'll be asked to create an account. It is free. You can try all functions for 30 days, and you're not asked for any credit cards or something like this. Okay, so what Strategy Scorecard Wizard is about? This tagline basically summarizes what it does. It helps you to build a professional strategy map, and according to our estimations that are actually supported by some analytics data, it will take you around 6 minutes to create your strategy scorecard using this wizard. It's not a magic button, yeah. So it's not going to create something that you cannot imagine. Yeah? It's about helping you to understand your challenges better. It's about helping you to map these challenges on paper, on a scorecard, and that's how this process works. So the whole process is organized about your experience. These wizards will be asking you some questions and helping you by these questions to get on the right track with the strategy scorecard. So several questions, and in the end you will see a scorecard, a strategy map, a strategy scorecard, which something like this that you can see on the right side of my screen. The next important thing is that all questions are optional. So if you're not sure about some answer, you just click on the next button and no problems with this. As I mentioned, in the end, you will be able to create an account with BC Designer Online. If you already have an account, I do recommend for you to do what I just did before, to log in and to start Strategy Map Wizard from the software. Another thing that you might want to use is this one, filling answers with sample data. So basically, if I use this checkbox and click Start, you'll see that all answer fields are filled in with some sample answers. So what you can do, you can just press next, 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 and go to the end to see what will happen. If we uncheck this checkbox and click start, we still see same questions, obviously, and we still see the answers, but those answers are in a what is called placeholder, so you can see them, but when you start typing something, it will be replaced. So another way to do this. And of course, your answers are the answers that you provide are proceeded privately, so you can learn more about how we do this. But basically, it's the answers are for your eyes only. Okay, so let's get started, and I will comment on some of the questions and on some of the answers. So that's the main screen of the Strategy Scorecard Wizard, and as you can see, it is divided into several parts. Here on the right, you have 4 steps that we're going to pass through to design a strategy scorecard. And now we are on step 1, where we will define business goals within 4 perspectives. And inside, you see that we started with customer perspective. We'll move down to internal, then to learning and growth, and finally to finance. That's how we prefer you to move. I know that some consultants insist on starting with finance, but for me, it's more convenient to start with what customers need, because actually customers are those who are generating profits for your business. So we satisfy the needs of the customers first, and then it will be linked to some financial outcomes. So that's the first step, the goals. The second step is about defining leading and lagging indicators. The third step is about defining action plans. And the fourth step is just allows you to save the results into your account. So that's a section on the right. Now you have a section with some questions. And below this section, you have the block with some hints, some strategies to have in mind. So let's review the questions and let's see how these hints help us. So the first question is about the needs of the customer. What do your customers need? And we use some sample answers. So imagine that these answers is what we would answer to this question, what BC designer team would answer to this question. Obviously, it's a little bit outdated. If you will look at the software, you will find that some of the goals, some of the ideas that we use as a sample are already released in the software. So it's more for the purpose of samples, of seeing some, having some example in front of your eyes. So what do your customers need? For example, BC Designer users need automatic data entry into scorecards. That's the need of the customers. Here I put who the customers are. And the software shows me some strategies that I might want to have in mind. How does it help? So looking at these strategies, we might start thinking, or if you invited your team to join you, you and your team might start thinking about different ways to satisfy customer needs. So, for example, BC Designer users need automatic data entry into scorecard. What it is now product leadership strategy. It is strategy related to the excellence in customer service, or it's operational excellence. I guess it's more about product leadership strategy. So probably if I would start this strategy map wizard once more, I would think about the ways that we can, for example, excel and in operational. For example, we might improve the time that it takes to respond on implementing certain features in the software. Again, it's more product leadership strategy, probably not the best example. Probably would take a focus on responding to customer queries faster. It would be a customer service excellent theme. So my point is that when you have these strategies here, you know that you have some directions that you might want to start thinking about. So we have value proposition, we have it for customers. Let's click next. As you can see on the right, we now have the status here in internal, and the software asked me about the ways to satisfy customer needs. So what we had before was automatic data entry and how we're going to satisfy this. So probably we need to develop some application program interface API. And here in the details, we can mention how it's supposed to work in our case. Again, we have some strategies that you might want to consider when thinking about your own goals, about your own strategy. So these are typical themes that usually appear in the goals of this perspective. It will help you to focus your thinking about strategy. Next, learning and growth. Having in mind the previous goal, this one, develop application program interface, how do we want to focus our learning efforts? So for example, in this case, we need to have some specialists in the integration, so we want to train specialists. And again, below we have some strategies to have in mind. So we can talk about skills that your team need. We can talk about IT, about infrastructures that you need. We can talk about some culture-related things. These are the themes that help you to focus your strategy on what matters for your organization, and also to make sure that you have not forgot some important theme that your strategy actually covers everything that you wanted to cover. Okay, so finally we go to finance. Again, we have two suggestions for the strategy, and your answers can be here. For example, in our case, it was we wanted to increase the number of subscription, which is obviously something related to finance. Okay, I click next, and the software takes me to the second step, which is defining leading and logging indicators. Again, we have 4 perspectives, and now the software suggests for me this text. So having in mind the goal, and that's the goal that I have entered on the first step, the software asks me, how can we predict the success? It's about leading indicator. And another question is, how can we validate the results achieved? Logging indicator. So if you're not sure about the difference between indicators, I do recommend for you to check it out on our website. There are some articles about this topic. But basically, that's what we want to have here in mind. So if we have some goal, like for example this one, that BC Designer uses developing some data entry into scorecards, there are 2 indicators to consider in this context. When we implement this interface, first of all, we need to make sure that people are actually using it. It will be, in this context, it will be leading indicator. And then we'll need to check out if people who use this interface are actually satisfied with what it does. Actually, for example, it lead them to just positive testimonial, or probably to buy a subscription. Okay, so leading and logging indicator. Again, I have here some text field to put some comments, and clicking next. Again, the software shows for me the business goal that I had, and it allows me to enter leading indicator and logging indicator. That's simple. Clicking next, next, next. Action plan. What we have here. Again, the software shows for me the business goal that I have. But now it asks me to enter some details, some action plan details that I have in mind. So, for example, we discussed that our users need to have some automatic data entry into the scorecard. That was a general goal to have in mind. What might be an action plan? An action plan might be, for example, to do a customer survey, which is about preparing some questions, preparing some survey that would help us to understand, for example, first of all, the needs of the customer, if they need this automatic data entry, and then if they're satisfied with what we have implemented. So this would be the initiative. And if needed, we can enter some details here like budget and timeline. And later you will see it in the scorecard that will be created. So just sample data, again, develop application, program interface. What this is a goal, and we need to have some details. So the details is about preparing some technical requirements, about formalizing it, discussing it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so enter action plan when needed. That's it. So we're on the final step. The software actually tells us that our strategy scorecard is ready, and that I'm supposed to check KPI tabs and strategy map tab. Yeah, and two more hints tells us what we can do with Scorecard Wizard. We can run it once more to add more goals, or we can just modify the scorecard manually. So if you was using BC Designer without an account, without logging into your account, you would see here some form to create a free account. I was using it from my account, so I don't have this form here, and I just can click finish button to see what we have. So that's what we have, and let's look at these goals and this strategy map. So basically here I see my goal, and below this goal I see description. More subscription will result in higher revenue. Probably I can stop displaying this description to focus only on the goal. And also I see here the indicators that I have entered. Well, we use the sample data, but anyway, this green line here, the growth of subscription and revenue from new subscriptions are indicators, leading and lagging indicator. And you can see it for the second goal as well. And I also see here initiative. This one with a folder icon, clipboard icon is actually the initiative. So this is a visual representation, and we can also see the same data on KPI tab. I see here my goals. I see aligned KPIs. I see that this is leading indicator. I see this is lagging indicator. And this initiative icon, which is, when it is blue, it means that there are some initiatives. I can see that there are some initiatives. You can see name, description, budget, duration, all the information that I have entered on the previous tab. So what I can do from this tab, if you prefer to just get this strategy map outside of the software, you can click export and you will have it as a picture file. Or you can just save it to your account and continue modifying it. Actually, what we can do, we can modify it here, or we can start Strategy Scorecard Wizard again using this option here in Tools menu. So from Tools menu, Strategy Scorecard Wizard, what it will do, it will not overwrite your data. It will not overwrite what you have here, but it will add some additional data. So you can start Strategy Map Wizard again, or you can just go here and add some goals manually. For example, let's edit customer, what we mentioned before, better customer service, another thing to have in mind. And from here, we can add some indicators directly. We can say that we measure response time, and this will be a leading indicator. And we'll also measure, for example, customer satisfaction, which will be a lagging indicator in this context. And if I switch to strategy map and update it, I can see that I have a new goal here. So it was created manually. Now, if we need, we can enter some data. You can enter it in these indicators, or you can enter it here, modifying it. So, for example, response time, it can be 2, and the measure unit can be in hours. And customer satisfaction can be 70%, 100%. Again, this data is visualized on the map, and we can go ahead modifying it. We can, for example, link this goal to this goal. The software asks me if I want to link login part of one goal to leading part of another goal. I would agree. And what we see that better customer service goal is actually now a leading indicator for this financial goal. So you can play a lot with these functions. And if you want to learn more about any of these functions, like this strategy map or this dashboard, this analytics tab, you always have here a small icon with camera that you can click on, and it will get you to the detailed video about this very feature. So I think that's all I wanted to explain you about Strategy Scorecard Wizard. Again, to start it from your account, you can go to My Scorecard section and simply use this option, Use Scorecard, Strategy Scorecard Wizard, or start it from home page, where you have it here on this button, or in the scorecards samples menu. You need to be logged out to get there. You can just click this link here on the strategy map section. Okay, thank you for your time. I hope you will find strategy map wizard useful, and my final recommendation is to give it a try.